I've been playing a lot of indie games lately, and not even a single one hit me as much as this one did. Hi, I'm Maxwell and welcome to my cool little series of cool little videos about cool little games. And on today's platter, I bring you Repose from 2025. It was made by a solo indie dev and visual artist Bozo Attila Bertold from Hungary, and was published by Akupara Games. And this one's a really weird game. I remember its development process, following it on Twitter, and I was certainly drawn to the art style that is, well, quite unique. It follows those classic dungeon crawler vibes from games that go back to like 3D Monster Maze, but still having this unique kind of cyberpunky atmosphere mixed with horror aesthetics. And back then, I thought it would actually be a survival horror in a dungeon crawler sense. But when I've played it, I was actually surprised that it was absolutely not it. It possessed some elements of the survival horror genre, like management of our energy. So we can only walk a certain amount of steps after each save. So there is some kind of resource management as some weapons use this energy. But then, when you see how all these different levels are laid out, this game plays out more like a resource-based puzzle with horror elements. Probably when we think of dungeon crawlers and games that look like this one, we think about turn-based combat. Games like Legends of Grimrock, Grimoire, or Might and Magic. But this game is, well, an action game. It's kind of reflex-based combat system that really depends on our speed, because enemies respond quickly to your presence, and sometimes in the darkness you have to quickly switch from your flashlight to a weapon, and it has to be a right weapon for the right enemy, because, for example, the pistol kills different enemies and the axe kills different enemies, and both of those weapons have their own mechanics. Later on, even the glow stick has a more profound use than only lighting our way. So in that sense, the way these puzzles were and these encounters with enemies were laid out, especially in later levels, I could literally call this game a rhythm experience. It had those qualities of playing Crypt of the Necro Dungeon, where you literally just, to a certain beat, know what to do. You hit, you move, you switch to a different weapon, you hit, you move, and so on and so forth. It became this kind of experience that I could say is a rhythm game without the music. But still, the music in this game is really beautiful, and some of the tracks probably are playing in the background. It really is atmospheric and just all-consuming. And I guess I was not the only one surprised that it's a reflex-based experience. For example, I saw this thread. It was written by a person disappointed by this. I wasn't, because the game is pretty fun and also really short. It's not a game you will play for like 500 hours. It's more like 2 or 3. It took me 2.5 hours to finish it and collect all the achievements. With this reflex-based gameplay, I am really impressed how the game keeps things fresh all the time. Every next level there is some new kind of threat that you have to deal with. It can be an enemy, or it can be a trap that you have to pass through in a way that doesn't get you killed, because you mostly die with just one hit. The levels are really satisfyingly designed. They are in this Metroidvania category, so it brings to me more of those survival horror elements, but taking them to a kind of arcade playfield. The levels usually look like these different nooks and crannies you have to go through to unlock different doors. They give you easier access to further and further places, so you have more energy to reach the end of a level, and with that, the next save point. It's really engaging and stimulating, because it gives you this all-consuming sense of survival horror progression that I love about this genre. But at the same time, it is clearly not a representative of survival horror. I was also really surprised by the story of the game. First, I thought that for a 2-hour game, it could easily be brushed to the side in favor of gameplay, which is fair in most cases. But here, even though the plot is simple with only a few characters, it's surprisingly thick with strong and relatable themes of corporate greed, environmental destruction, and it shows them in really appealing ways. The cutscenes, the audio design, they aren't climactic moments that came after hundreds of hours of gameplay, but the way they are done, it makes them dense and satisfying and, well, believable, filled with emotions. It's just pure craftsmanship. So for a game that is made by a solo dev, this is a prime example of just creativity, ideas, and stunning game design, but also beautiful execution. So well, I really did enjoy Repose. So if the game sounds interesting to you, I really recommend you give it a go. It released more than half a year ago, and so far it only has like 120 reviews on Steam, so there is so much room for people to support it more and give it the love it truly deserves. There is even a demo available, so if you want to try it out first, there is an option. And the game is actually really cheap, so that's also a fun thing. From what I've seen, Bozo Attila Bertolt is working on a new game. It looks and feels similar to Repose, but at the same time, it clearly is different. It's more like 3D with just similar visual style and characteristic, but we'll see how that one goes. I will certainly be waiting, and in the meantime, that's all from me. Thank you for watching, and see you in more videos to come.